We don't panic, Gen X. We figure it out, we get to work, we get to hustling, and we make it happen. You remember the moment maybe you threw up a little bit in your mouth, felt like somebody kicked you in the gut? That moment when you finally decided to take a look to see how much you had? Was it as much as you thought? You didn't get started late. Maybe some of you don't have anything. Life happens. Life took our attention, and we were never actually taught what we should be doing. Back during the 80s, when a lot of us Gen Xers were entering the workforce, leaving those safe, secured, swaddling bosoms of our high school years in our parents' houses, back in the day when our kids were actually expected to leave the house around age 18, especially if they weren't going to college, that's a rant for a different day. But we got out there, started hustling, and then life took over. We started obviously taking care of ourselves or establishing our own four walls, transportation, feeding ourselves, room, board, rent, whatever. And then life moved on a little bit more, and some of us started having kids. In my life, in Southern Alabama, you start having kids usually right after high school. But you started having kids. You started having to take care of things other than your social life and your next outfit. Things got real. And we weren't making a lot of money at that time. For those of us who did not go and pursue a higher education, it was all bootstrap. You had to figure out a job path. Could have been working in your local mill, could have been waiting tables. Maybe if you were lucky, you got taken on as an entry-level clerk in an office somewhere. But we had to learn on the ground, on our feet, while we were still putting food on the table. With all that said, retirement money and saving for that was the furthest from our mind back in the day. So no, we did not start early. We do not have the benefit of 40 years of compound interest. Some of us have nothing. And that's not a terrible, unsurmountable thing. You're not behind. You're just finally awake. You are just finally concerned enough to pay attention, look at the numbers, and not to panic. Some of us are not going to do the traditional Hallmark movie channel retirement approach. Some of us are going to have to continue working for a while. Eventually, our bodies just are not going to do it. Some of us, I've had comments recently of 80-year-olds out there still working. Yes, it is a reality, and some of us may get there. But time is currently on your side. Not like it was 40 years ago. There's some things you're going to have to work a little bit harder and a little bit more intentional with, but time is still on our side. You're still young enough to keep working a plan. Your plan may end up being a hybrid or glide down retirement, which I am embracing myself. I don't want to come home and just do nothing. I have lots of activities, experiences, etc. that I want to do, but I enjoy the rhythm and the cadence of life when there is something to go and do, money to be made. I want to go kill it and bring it home. Have I saved some for retirement? Yes, I have. Will I collect Social Security? Oh, heck yes. I've paid into it. I'm going to collect it, but I'm going to do it smartly. If you have not started looking at what you need as a total lump sum, I don't want you to get fretful, afraid. Oh my God, I've started too late, because you haven't. Because it's not a matter of how much you have in your accounts right now. It's how much you need. And this is the reality, and it always has been every freaking month of our lives. Am I bringing home enough to meet my expenses? And for those of us who haven't been tracking our expenses, that don't really know for certain how much you need every month, in the description, Master Your Money Plan. Number 1, you need to go get that. It is a free workbook to help you figure out what your current monthly expenses are so you can better estimate what you're going to need in retirement, keeping in mind that your expenses are going to shift as you leave your full-time 9 to 5, been doing this for 40 plus years job, into whatever you select as your hybrid retirement occupation. This can be creating your own income streams, working part-time. Maybe your employer also offers some sort of glide down, tapered down, stair step down into retirement where you can continue working for several more years, but in a lesser required amount of time every month. So maybe you start off working your regular 5 8-hour days or plus, and maybe you then go to maybe a 3 8-hour day or half days. You and your employer figure this out if they offer such a thing. I checked with mine. I have a very generous employer when it comes to our health benefits, etc., and that is their ceiling, and that is okay. I'm very grateful for every benefit I get with my employer, but it does not equate to a glide down retirement with them. So for me, I am getting the boat closer to the dock before I jump off of my current position so that I know I have income coming in that is going to offset my need to pull out of what I've saved for retirement in those accounts, especially if I decide to retire before age 65. Because there's a lot of expenses that we take on once we leave the warm, comfortable bosom of our employers, and healthcare is one of them. For those of us who are going to retire before 65, we're going to have to get our own health coverage. Now, this can be on the ACA, I think is what it's called. A lot of us refer to it as Obamacare, but it's that exchange based on your prior 2 years' income is what you'll get in healthcare subsidies. Some of us will actually be able to benefit from taking COBRA from the job we're leaving and then adding to it a private market insurance policy. There's lots of ways to price this out. I've got a series of videos coming up in a few weeks for May in my 7 months, 7 days video series on different retirement topics. You guys be sure to tune into that. I think that's happening starting on May 23rd, possibly. I have to double check. It'll be in the description, or go check it out on my channel. All right. So back to, do you freak out at this point? Remember freak out? Oh, there was a song. Okay, I'm distracted. No need to freak out. If you're just now getting started, or if you've barely saved anything, you still have plenty of runway to get this off the ground, but you have to be intentional. So the very first thing, you've got to figure out how much a month you need, because you need to figure out how long is that going to last you? How long do you plan on living? What's your health history in your family? What sort of choices have you made in your life? What's your current health status? Reality is not all of us are going to live to a ripe old age of 90 plus. I am looking at age 93. That's the eldest any of my ancestors have actually, in my lifetime, made it to. But reality is most of us in the family expire in our mid 80s. But if I happen to leave some behind for a couple of well-deserving nieces and nephews, then so be it. I'm going to write my will in cursive. They're going to have to learn to read cursive because they didn't teach that in school but during this generation. Whatever. Anyway, but I plan to go out net zero. No children, don't intend to leave a pile of a bazillion dollars to anybody. They're going to have to go work and earn their own retirement money. One of the more important things that you can do for yourself at this point, and we're just going to call it self-love and self-care, is stop avoiding this topic, because it's not going to get any easier to consume emotionally and mentally with passing of time. It's actually going to make you feel worse. So go and grab in the description. For myself, it is where I have been planning my retirement money, but I put it together into a formal workbook for y'all. It's called the Retirement Reality Reset Kit. For those of us who hate math, and I'm one, I've built a very simple spreadsheet that also corresponds with the workbook. So all you have to do is work through the workbook, plug in the numbers, bam, does all the math for you, and you can start looking at what you need. And if there is a gap, well, then we're going to do exactly what we've done our entire daggum life, is we're going to eliminate some expenses. Part of this exercise is to review where you're bleeding money every month. You're going to be surprised on how much money is leaving your pocketbook, your wallet, going to subscriptions that you forgot you had, gym memberships that you've been paying on since 1990 something, and it just is on auto draft. So you've completely been bleeding cash there. We're going to stop the bleeding, revisit if there's still a gap. If there's still a gap, because then we're going to have to start either increasing our monthly income. And income when you're retirement, when you're retired, is anything you personally go out and produce. Social Security, when you claim that, is income into your budgeting world. And then if you have anything in retirement where you draw down from that to supplement, you have to make this pile of money last as long as possible, or you have to work in some form or fashion to bridge the gap. So this retirement reality reset kit will help you walk through that. All right, well, I'm Jen. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I've got a little to say about a lot of stuff, and all of it right now has to do with retirement and getting us to where we need to go. I will see y'all soon. Stop recording.